Are you looking for a running back to help you out in week 12 and beyond for fantasy football? I've got you covered with my top 5 waiver wire pickups of the week. And let's start with number 5. I'm going to go with a guy who's barely even played this year, was off in week 11 because of a bye, and that's Tevin Coleman of San Francisco. And I'll tell you why. He is a running back in a Kyle Shanahan led offense, and that's good enough. I know he's only carried the ball 21 times this year. I know Raheem Mostert might be back, but it's a little more iffy with him. Tevin Coleman, all signs point to the fact that he should be back. And even if Mostert does come back and then McKinnon is still there, but, he left the last game with a stinger. You never know with him. Yes, it's going to be a committee. It's always going to be a committee with Shanahan. But the thing is, any one of these guys could be valuable on any given week. We've seen Mostert has been injury prone, and we're not sure how healthy he's going to be. Well, the same thing goes for Coleman. But that's exactly the thing is whoever's playing, you should have some interest, especially if you're in a deeper league, because any given week, any guy could go off. We saw that with a guy like Jeff Wilson had that monster game against the Giants. We've seen McKinnon have value. Coleman is someone that was brought over last year, kind of a favorite. And so I've got to think he's going to get touches. And at the very least, he's worth a bench stash. So I'm going to have Coleman number 5 right now. But number 4, on the other side of that same matchup there, against the Niners, I'm going to go with Cam Akers. Not necessarily because of what I think he's going to do this week. Well, I don't even know what he did in week 11 because I'm recording this before the Monday night matchup. Not high expectations against Tampa Bay. But here's the thing. Cam Akers is one of those bench stashes, and I've talked about this in other videos before. He could be a league winner down the stretch. Now, it might take an injury to a guy like Henderson. It might take Sean McVay kind of having a change of heart. I mean, we don't know, but it's encouraging the last 2 weeks. He's finally getting some carries, right? 9 carries, 10 carries, trending upwards. And it could be a Miles Sanders situation. You remember last year, he didn't really break out until week 10, where he finally started seeing over 50% of the snaps and then started getting most of the carries. Akers is the kind of guy, kind of like Sanders, who can break off long runs. He doesn't need 20 plus touches. He's probably not going to get 20 plus touches. He could still be very effective. So he is definitely worth the stash. Tough to recommend starting him, even flexing him out this particular week, but you never know. He's definitely, again, worth the stash if you have the space. Number 3, an oldie but a goodie, Frank Gore. He makes the list for a couple of reasons. First of all, we saw the Jets actually showed some life on offense. I'm not going to give Adam Gase credit because of his play calling or whatever happened. But Gore did have his first touchdown. He did have 63 yards, and that for him, that's actually a season best. And I know that's not really gaudy numbers, but still, it's signs of life. And the most interesting thing is LaMichael Perrine, the rookie there who'd been kind of catching on. He was injured and not sure the severity yet, but if he misses time, again, this team literally has nobody else. We're going to see even more Frank Gore. And even though the ceiling is really low, the floor at least is enough to get you by in a given week. And it's kind of a homecoming week for him going to Miami, not just because, of course, was with the Dolphins previously, but remember, star at the U. So Gore could have a decent week. If nothing else, I mean, there's really not a lot of running backs that can plug and play and help you immediately. So Gore is up there. Now, number 2, guy who could probably help you a little bit more is James White. James White, massive disappointment this year, barely been used. It's very different without Tom Brady, of course. That was his security blanket. Cam Newton, very different style. If anything, Cam Newton hurts the running backs because he steals goal line touches and carries from them. But we saw a change this particular week against Houston. And so White had 6 catches for 64 yards, and he hadn't got that kind of work, that kind of production in a while. But also we should know that unfortunately Rex Burkhead, that serious injury, looks like he's done for the season. That actually helps James White out because really he's the only other running back they have that catches passes. Damian Harris has been looking really good, but just as a runner, he has 0 involvement in the passing game there. Sonny Michel might be back, but even so, he also has almost no involvement as a pass catcher. So I think we're going to see a lot more White going forward. We're going to see kind of more of the James White we're used to seeing, give you that nice security in PPR leagues. So White is definitely somebody worth having, even if you don't feel like you can play him as a starter. It's kind of like nice, when the bye weeks are over too. he's that nice backup to have that can fill a spot if you don't feel good about your other matchups, or of course injuries always happen at running back. But the number one pickup clearly this week is a guy I talked about the last several weeks at waiver wire. It's Wayne Gallman of the Giants. Not a super exciting name still, but guess what? He's still scoring touchdowns. 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games before their bye. And Devontae Freeman, now we can officially not worry at all about him. He's on IR, not coming back anytime soon. There is no other competition for touches. And Gallman's rush attempts have gone up each of the past 3 weeks, finally to respectable RB1 type numbers. He's not going to give you RB1 fantasy value, but he's scoring. And you know what? This week, going against the Bengals, which already is a great matchup for any running back, but this is a team now, unfortunately, without Joe Burrow. They're just going to be in the tank the rest of this season. So it's going to be a great time to roll Gallman out. Should be a fantasy RB2, honestly, this week, and somebody you should trust going forward. So if he's still out there, definitely worth adding. All right, that does it for running backs. Again, catch wide receiver, quarterback, tight end. We do every week waiver wires to get you covered for this week and beyond. Hit that subscribe button if you like what you see. And of course, leave us a comment with any questions you have about any players we didn't mention. We'd love to help you out. All right, good luck.